The architecture of seduction and the ancient code. Imagine a situation that has played out in human history billions of times. The scene changes. It could be a Stone Age cave, a marble bath in ancient Rome, or a modern penthouse bedroom in a metropolis. The scenery is different, but the essence remains unchanged. A man watches a woman. She does not see him. She might be busy with her own affairs, brushing her hair, adjusting her clothes, or slowly walking to the window. At some point, she turns her back, and time stops for the man. In this second, something happens that defies logic, morality, or social norms. Your gaze, as if magnetized by an invisible force, glides down the line of the spine. You pass the shoulder blades, slip along the curve of the waist, and rest your eyes on a zone that has stirred the imagination of the best artists, sculptors, and poets of all time. You are looking at the lower back, but your brain is not just looking for skin. It is looking for a special sign. Two barely noticeable, yet so alluring hollows right above the buttocks. Why exactly them? Why not the breasts, which so obviously scream fertility? Why not the legs? Why are these two small dimples capable of causing an instant rush of blood and dry mouth in an adult, experienced man? Many women consider this a cute feature. Glossy magazines call it a zest. But we, as men who want to know the truth, must look deeper. We must understand that our reaction is not vulgarity or a whim. It is the work of an ancient biological scanner built into your subcortex. The Austrian fathers of psychoanalysis, who spent their lives trying to decipher the nature of libido, would say that at this moment you are scanning a genetic barcode. Your inner beast, that very primal male who lives inside each of us under a thin layer of civilization, conducts an instant analysis. He needs fractions of a second to determine everything by these two depressions: the health of the female, her ability to bear offspring, her hormonal background, and, what is most interesting for us today, her hidden sexual potential. They are called the Venus dimples. The name is beautiful, but it does not convey even half of the power hidden in this phenomenon. It is not just anatomy. It is a promise. When you see these shadows on her back, your subconscious receives an encrypted message. Here is fire. Here is passion. Here are no prohibitions. You have not touched her yet. You may not even know her name, but your body is already ready for battle. Because nature never puts a quality mark on defective goods. But I must warn you, we are entering a territory where medicine intertwines with mysticism and crude physiology with the highest aerobatics of the art of love. What I will tell you next will forever change your view of the female body. You will never again be able to look at a woman's back simply as a part of the body. You will see a treasure map. You will see a control interface. You will see what is hidden from the eyes of most other men who simply glide their gaze over the surface. And there is one more secret, the most important one, the one anatomical atlases are silent about. At the very bottom, in the depths, under these dimples, a nerve node is hidden, which is the key to absolute female submission and attachment. It is a kind of biological button, pressing which at the right moment, you can create a connection of such strength that she will not be able to breathe without you. We will call this the phantom. And we will definitely get to it at the very end of our immersion. But to understand how to activate this mechanism, we first need to disassemble the entire structure screw by screw. We need to understand the foundation. So, get comfortable. Turn off notifications. Now we will be engaged in men's business, studying the manual for the most beautiful and dangerous object in the universe. And if you are ready to learn the truth that will make you an expert, let me know, just like this material. It will be our silent sign of solidarity. Done? Then let's begin the autopsy. Chapter 1. The Geometry of Passion. Visual Hypnosis. Let's start with what can be seen. With aesthetics that drive you crazy. Have you ever wondered why this particular zone is so hypnotizing? Remember how a woman's back looks in an evening gown with a deep cut. The fabric flows, hiding the hips, but revealing this sacred zone, the lower back. And here, in the play of light and shadow, they appear. Two distinct depressions. The rhombus of Michaelis. It works like a red rag to a bull. From the point of view of dry engineering, there is no magic here. This is the junction of the sacrum with the iliac bones of the pelvis. There are practically no muscles here. The skin here is stretched directly over the ligaments. These ligaments, short and tough, pull the dermis inward, creating this relief. But why does it look so damn erotic? It's about contrast. The male eye loves geometry but hates straight lines in the female body. A straight line is boring. A straight line is masculine. A woman is always an arc, a curve, a wave. And the Venus dimples create a visual illusion that amplifies all female proportions tenfold. They work as an architectural accent. The gaze slides down the spine, like along a riverbed, and suddenly splits, going into these two funnels. This creates volume. Even if a woman naturally does not have the most outstanding buttocks, the presence of Venus dimples visually separates the back from the pelvis. They create a frame for the picture. Thanks to the shadows that fall into these hollows, the buttocks seem rounder, more convex, higher. This is an optical illusion gifted by evolution. You look and see the ideal hourglass shape, even if it is not there. Your brain paints in perfection. Now imagine this in dynamics. Imagine her in the morning. Sunlight streams through the blinds, painting stripes of light on her skin. She stretches. The back muscles tense, arching. And at this moment, the dimples become deeper. They seem to pulsate, reacting to every movement of her body. This spectacle is capable of waking you up faster than any coffee. You see how hidden power rolls under the velvet skin. It is not the softness of a pillow, it is the elasticity of a drawn bow. And you, like a hunter, feel this tension with your own skin. A crucial point that distinguishes the thoroughbred from the fake. These dimples cannot be created artificially. In the world of plastic surgery, they have learned to make breasts, pump out fat, change the shape of the nose. But Venus dimples are an exclusive. They cannot be pumped up in the gym. Yes, you can strengthen the back extensors, you can make steel buttocks, but the places of attachment of ligaments cannot be changed. This is a genetic lottery. This is a noble title issued at birth. When you see them, you understand. In front of you is the original. This is not the result of a scalpel's work, it is nature's design. There is something wild, primal in this. A woman with such a back carries the genes of those very foremothers who survived in harsh conditions, gave birth to strong warriors, and possessed incredible endurance. Your instinct reads this wildness. You feel that under the layer of civilization, under an office suit or home clothes, a real female is hiding. And this feeling of the real thing excites more than the most explicit nudity. And let's touch on a topic that often becomes taboo, but about which we men are obliged to know. The topic of excess weight and the spare tire. We live in an era of cheap calories and a sedentary lifestyle. Metabolic syndrome kills libido and beauty. Fat on the belly and sides is not just an aesthetic defect. It is a graveyard for sex hormones. Visceral fat works as an endocrine organ, suppressing testosterone in men and disrupting the balance of estrogens in women. Venus dimples are an indicator of leanness. It is a marker of the absence of toxic fat. If they are visible, it means the percentage of fat in a woman's body is in the ideal, golden range. There is enough of it for her to be soft and feminine, but not in excess, which turns the body into a shapeless mass. This is balance. The lower back zone swims over first when a woman stops taking care of herself. The dimples disappear, like Atlantis, hiding underwater. Their absence, often though not always, signals the system is working with glitches, there is stagnation, there is laziness. On the contrary, clear, carved hollows scream. Everything here works like a Swiss watch. Metabolism is fire. Energy is in full swing. You look at such a back and subconsciously understand. This woman will not get tired in 5 minutes. She has enough strength, flexibility, and endurance for any marathon you want to arrange. She is easygoing. Her body is an obedient instrument, not a burden. And this promise of lightness and strength makes you want her even more. You want to touch this health. You want to charge from it. Try a simple test. The next time you hug your woman, put your palm on the bottom of her back. Just put it there and close your eyes. What do you feel? A soft pillow in which fingers sink? Or do you feel relief? Do you feel the hardness of the bone under the delicate skin? Do you feel this difference in height? If the second, congratulations. You are keeping your hand on the pulse of life itself. And this pulse will soon start beating faster because we are moving from contemplation to action. to what happens inside when the blood starts to boil. Chapter 2. Hydraulics of Desire. Secret Rivers of Your Pleasure. Now that we have enjoyed the view, let's look under the hood of this machine. Let's talk about what makes it work at maximum RPM. Any engineer will tell you, a beautiful body is only half the battle. If the fuel system is clogged, if the pump is not pumping, the sports car will not go anywhere. In the human body, the role of fuel is played by blood, and the role of the ignition system is played by nerve impulses. And here the dimples on the lower back cease to be just an aesthetic detail and turn into a precise diagnostic device. Let's face the truth. We live in a world that kills passion. We sit in office chairs for 8 hours. We sit in traffic jams. We sit in the evening in front of the TV. For the female body, especially for the pelvic organs, this is a catastrophe. Imagine a river that has been blocked by a dam. The water stagnates, turns into a swamp. Blood circulation in the lower body slows down. Tissues begin to starve. Nerve endings, deprived of an active supply of oxygen, fall into hibernation. In a woman, this manifests itself very specifically. She needs 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes more, just to wake up. Her engine is cold, and you have to spend colossal efforts on preliminary warm-up, which sometimes does not lead to a spark. The presence of clear, deep dimples on the lower back is a marker of the absence of stagnation in this critically important zone. Remember what we said about the absence of a fat cushion. If there is no excess pressure there, if the lymph nodes are not compressed, then the track is clear. This is an autobahn without traffic jams. Blood in the pelvis of such a woman circulates freely, powerfully, and quickly. And this changes absolutely everything in your nightlife. Medical statistics, which are rarely written about in popular blogs, confirm an interesting correlation. Women with pronounced lower back relief complain much less often about a lack of desire. Why? Because the signal from the brain to the pelvic organs flies instantly. It is physics. As soon as you touch her, as soon as you just come up from behind and hug her, as soon as you whisper something daring in her ear, her body is already reacting. The rush of blood happens in seconds. You don't see it yet, but the process has already started. Lubrication, swelling of tissues, readiness to accept you. All this works like a fine-tuned, lubricated mechanism. You do not waste time fighting her physiology. You immediately enter the game at high revs. But there is a second aspect of this hydraulics, which only true gourmets know about. This is the sensitivity of the zone itself. The skin in the area of these depressions is unique. It is very thin, almost parchment-like. Beneath it, there is practically no insulating layer of subcutaneous fat, but there is a colossal number of nerve receptors. And these receptors are not simple. They are directly connected, via a short path, to the sacral plexus, to that very node that controls the entire sexual sphere of a woman. Many men make a fatal mistake. They concentrate only on obvious erogenous zones in the front. They go into a frontal attack. But an experienced lover, a strategist, knows. If you want to take a fortress without losses, go from the rear. A light, barely perceptible touch to the Venus dimples is capable of causing goosebumps that will roll in a wave down to the very heels. Try an experiment. When she is standing in the kitchen or in the bathroom, just run your fingertips over these depressions. Do not press. Just glide. You will see how her back reflexively straightens and her breathing falters. This works as a back door to her arousal. You literally turn her on through the back, like turning on a light in a dark room. And here we come to an important nuance that will prepare us for the main secret of control. You probably noticed that some women, at the moment of highest pleasure, instinctively arch their backs, lifting their pelvis off the bed. This is not a theatrical pose from a movie. This is a deep, animal reflex. The body tries to compress the lower back zone as much as possible to increase pressure on the nerve node and receive an even more powerful discharge. Understanding this, you stop being a blind kitten in bed. You begin to read her body like a navigation map. And the dimples on this map are the place where the treasure is buried. But to get it, you need to know how to hold the shovel correctly. Or rather, how to use your hands correctly. Chapter 3. Manual Control. Ergonomics of Your Power. We are moving from theory to harsh, tactile practice. to the mechanics of sex. Because knowing anatomy is good, but knowing where and how to put your hands so that she loses touch with reality is priceless. And now I will give you an instruction that will turn your palms into an instrument of absolute control. Let's look at the Venus dimples through the eyes of an ergonomics engineer. If you carefully examine your hands, specifically the shape and size of the thumb pads, and compare them with the shape of these depressions on a woman's back, you will be amazed. It is a perfect match. It is like a plug in a socket, like a key in a lock. Nature does not create accidents. These natural grooves were designed by evolution specifically for the male grip. It is an interface created so that you can comfortably and securely hold the female. Imagine a classic situation, positioned from behind, where she is on top, with her back to you. Your hands usually wander. They lie on the waist, slide over the hips. But the waist is a soft zone. Hands can slip, especially when the skin becomes moist with passion. Now try to change tactics. Shift your palms a little lower. Feel for these hollows, and rest your thumbs exactly in them. Do not be afraid to press harder. You will feel a rigid fixation. You are leaning not against muscle, not against fat, but against the bone structure. This gives you leverage. What does this change in the process? Absolutely everything. Firstly, this is physical control of a previously unattainable level. You get a fulcrum that allows you to set the rhythm, depth, and angle of penetration with mathematical precision. You don't just move next to her. You control her pelvis like a pilot controls the stick of a fighter jet. She can no longer run away from your pace. You hold her firmly, confidently, but at the same time, it does not hurt her because the pressure goes into the niches anatomically intended for this. Your fingers lie where they should be according to the Creator's plan. Secondly, and this is perhaps even more important for you and me, is the psychology of dominance. We men love control. It is in our blood. It is important for us to feel that the situation is in our hands. When your fingers are securely fixed in the Venus dimples, you send a powerful chemical signal to your brain. She is mine, I lead, I am the boss. This is an ancient, animal trigger. You hold her by the base of the spine, by the axis of her body. This wakes up the primal invader in you, the barbarian who took his prey. And believe me, a woman feels this. She reads this confidence through your hands without a single word. For a woman, this grip works like a powerful aphrodisiac. The feeling of strong male hands that confidently, pleasantly to the point of pain, hold her by the frame, gives her the opportunity to turn off her head. She no longer needs to control anything, no longer needs to think about how she looks or what to do next. Because you are at the helm. This removes all psychological blocks from her. Many women admit that precisely at this moment, when a man firmly fixes her by the lower back using these points, they experience the maximum sense of security and sweet submission. And submission in bed is the shortest path to the brightest, most destructive orgasm. But that's not all. This grip has a purely mechanical advantage for stimulation. Listen carefully. When you press on these points with your thumbs, you slightly change the tilt of her pelvis. You lift the sacrum, literally by a couple of degrees, but this is enough to change the angle of entry. You direct the movement so that it begins to stimulate those zones inside her that remain blind, inaccessible in the usual position. You literally optimize her anatomy for yourself in real time. This is that very control interface that was laid in us by nature, but the instruction to which many have lost or forgotten. And now, when you know how it works at the level of mechanics and psychology, when you have imagined the weight of her hips in your hands and the elasticity of the skin under your fingers, we approach the subtlest moment, to the border between physics and chemistry, to what distinguishes just good, quality sex from a narcotic attachment that is impossible to refuse. Remember I told you about the phantom? About the hidden nerve node? About the attachment button? So, everything we discussed, blood flow, grip, control, is just preparation. This is a prelude to the main act. Right now, in the depths, under these dimples, an ancient mechanism is slumbering. It is waiting for its hour. It is capable of causing not just pleasure, but a real hormonal storm that will tie a woman to you forever at the level of self-preservation instincts. And soon, very soon, we will wake up this mechanism. But first, we need to deal with one more important detail. with how to read her character by these dimples even before you find yourself in bed. Ready to learn how to distinguish a wild cat from a domestic lioness by one look at the back? Chapter 4. Hormonal Compass. What evolution is silent about? Let's distract ourselves from mechanics for a minute and talk about chemistry. About that invisible but omnipotent magic that controls our desires, even when we think we make decisions with our heads. Have you ever wondered why men are so greedy for certain proportions? Why does the gaze snatch exactly this curve of the back from the crowd? This is not just fashion imposed by gloss. This is the voice of your ancestors sounding in your DNA. And Venus dimples play the first violin part in this genetic orchestra. In the cruel world of biology, there is one immutable law: form always determines content. The presence of clear, deep depressions on the lower back is not an accident. It is a marker of high estrogen levels at the moment when the woman's body was just forming. Estrogen is the main female hormone, the sculptor of her body. It makes her skin soft, her hips rounded, and her character pliable and alluring. If you see these pits, you see a stamp set by nature itself. Everything is in order with hormones here. Femininity reigns here in its absolute manifestation. But evolution is a tricky thing. It constantly deceives us men for the sake of the survival of the species. When you look at a woman's naked back and see these erotic hollows, your brain thinks exclusively about sex. It paints pictures of passion, poses, and pleasure. But nature, creating this relief millions of years ago, thought about something completely different. It thought about childbirth. A wide sacrum, the correct pelvic tilt, the absence of excess fat that could interfere with the process. These are ideal technical conditions to push a new human into the world. It turns out to be a paradox worth thinking about. What looks to us like the most frank call for unbridled debauchery is actually a certificate of an ideal mother. Your ancient reproduction instinct is wrapped in a shiny wrapper of lust. You want this woman to the point of trembling in your hands precisely because your genome knows. With her, your line will not be interrupted. This is the greatest trick of nature, and Venus dimples are its main tool for manipulating your attention. However, this phenomenon has a reverse, dark side of the coin, and it concerns age. Dimples are a cruel, incorruptible indicator of biological time. Not what is written in the passport, but the real state of the organism. Over time, when hormone levels inevitably begin to fall and metabolism slows down, the female body changes. Tissues lose elasticity, swelling appears, relief floats away. Pits disappear first. They heal like old scars, hiding under a layer of time and fatigue. That is why, if you meet a woman over 35 or 40 who still has these marks clearly, boldly visible, stop. Look closer. Before you is a real witch in the best, complimentary sense of the word. This is a biological unique. This means that her hormonal system works with the power of a 20-year-old. That her body resists aging with the fury of a wild cat. Such a woman possesses a colossal reserve of vital energy that cannot be faked with makeup or clothes. Believe my experience, this energy will spill out everywhere. It will burn in her career, in her laughter, and, of course, it will blaze in your bedroom. She kept her factory setting, and for a man, a connection with such a woman is a way to sip from the fountain of eternal youth himself. Next to her, you start to feel younger, stronger, and more aggressive yourself. This is vampirism in reverse. She shares her vitality with you through touch. Chapter 5. Archetypes and Temperament. Who you take to bed. And now let's deal with applied psychology. Experienced lady killers, those who have dedicated their lives to studying women, know you can read character by the body like an open book if you know the alphabet. There is a direct, proven connection between body constitution and the temperament of the nervous system. And the back is one of the most honest storytellers, who never lies, unlike words. If we simplify everything to the limit to get a working tool, then women with the mark of Venus can be attributed to a special, fiery psychotype. Remember what we said about the lack of fat, high muscle tone, and excellent blood flow. These are, as a rule, women with a very active, even explosive nervous system. In classical psychology, this is called a choleric or strong sanguine type. What does this mean for you in practice when the bedroom doors close? A woman with a dry, sculpted back and deep dimples physically cannot be a log in bed. Her nerves are bare. She reacts to stimuli instantly. She flares up quickly, like dry gunpowder from a spark. She needs movement. She needs drama. She needs drive. She is demanding. She will not lie silently and wait for you to finish your business. She will participate. She will guide your hands. She will scratch your back. Her libido often has an aggressive, greedy character. This is the type of woman who can squeeze you like a lemon, and in the morning you will feel tired, but absolutely happy winner. On the other hand, women with a smooth, soft back without pronounced relief often possess a calmer, cozier temperament. They are created for tenderness, for long hugs, for comfort and care. They have more estrogen softness and less testosterone fire. And there is no bad or good option here. There is only a question of your needs. What do you need now? A storm in the ocean where you fight the elements? Or a quiet harbor where you can drop anchor and rest from the war? But if you are looking specifically for passion that blows the roof off, if you are looking for a partner for bold experiments and sleepless nights, look for the pits. This is a marker of restlessness, a marker that a fire burns inside her, demanding an exit. These are women hunters, even if during the day they wear strict business suits, work as chief accountants, and seem like cold bitches. In the evening, when social armor falls to the floor along with the dress, their true nature breaks out. And woe to the man who turns out to be unprepared for this. And by the way, if you like this approach to studying women, without rose-colored glasses, relying on facts, biology, and male logic, pause right now and subscribe to this channel. Here we analyze what others are shy to talk about. We open the codes of female nature so that you can navigate this minefield with your eyes closed. Press the button. Welcome to the closed club. And now we go further to the most important thing. We analyze the body. We analyze the character. But we still haven't touched upon the greatest mystery. That very phantom I hinted at in the beginning. Why do some men, even after breaking up with such a woman, cannot forget her for years? Why do they return to her, as if tied by an invisible chain? It's not just about good sex. It's about limbic resonance. Right under these pits, a nerve center is hidden, which works like biological glue. And now I will tell you how to activate it and put your final seal on her subconscious. Chapter 6. Unlocking the Phantom. Neural Seal. We have reached the final point of our research. To that very secret for which it was worth going all this way. Everything we discussed before, bones, muscles, fat, blood flow, was physics. It was body work. And now we will talk about programming the soul. About how to leave a trace in her psyche that cannot be erased either by time or by other men. In anatomy, there is a concept known to every neurologist, the sacral plexus. This is a powerful, complex node of nerve endings located just in the region of the sacrum, in the depths, right under the venous dimples. But doctors usually talk about it boringly. Innervation of the legs, pelvis, bladder. They miss its second, secret function. It is not just a distribution board for electricity in the body. It is a button for direct, emergency access to the parasympathetic nervous system of a woman. That very system that is responsible for the deepest relaxation, peace, a sense of safety, and attachment. What is the essence of the phantom? Listen very carefully. At the moment of intimacy, when a woman is at the peak of arousal, her brain is overloaded with dopamine. She is in euphoria. But it is after the finale, when the wave has subsided, that a critical moment comes, which 90% of men miss due to their inattention or fatigue. This is a moment of absolute vulnerability. This is a golden window that lasts only a few minutes. In these minutes, her psychological defense is completely turned off. Her subconscious is open like a blank sheet of paper, ready to accept any recording. If at this moment you just turn to the wall and start snoring, you will lose everything. But if you start gently, barely touching, to influence the zone of venous dimples, you are committing an act of biological hacking. What needs to be done? The technique is simple, but the effect of it is devastating. You can kiss these hollows. You can slowly breathe hot air on them, creating a temperature contrast. You can do a micro-massage with your fingertips, drawing figure eights around these pits. You must be as gentle as possible. No rudeness. Now you are working not with the body, but with nerves. What happens inside her at this moment? You send a signal directly to the sacral plexus. The woman's brain, already drunk on hormones, receives a command for total, transcendental relaxation. A powerful secondary release of oxytocin occurs, the hormone of trust, love, and attachment. And here the magic of limbic resonance happens. Her subconscious tightly links this feeling of absolute safety, bliss, and warmth with your scent, with the weight of your hand, with your presence nearby. This is the neural seal. Women who have experienced this describe the sensation as dissolving. They say they feel warmth spreading from the lower back up the spine, straight to the heart, and down to the tips of their toes. It is no longer sex. It is a merger. You literally prescribe yourself in her basic settings. That is why men who intuitively or consciously pay attention to Venus dimples not only during but also after the process become indispensable for their women. They become a drug. Leaving such a man means surviving physical withdrawal because the body will demand the return of this piece. That is why the ancient Romans, knowing not a word about neurobiology, considered these pits the fingerprints of the goddess of love. They knew life. They understood that real power over a woman lies not in the strength of muscles, not in a loud voice, and not even in the thickness of the wallet. Power lies in the ability to press the right buttons of her body at the right moment. And these two inconspicuous depressions on the lower back are the main one of these buttons, the key to her devotion, which has always been before your eyes. Conclusion. Look for the sign of the goddess. Create your reality. Now you have in your hands not just a set of scattered facts from anatomy or physiology. You have a complete, detailed navigation map of the female body, which 90% of modern men do not possess. Most guys look at a woman like amateurs who accidentally wandered into an art gallery. They simply like it or dislike it. They glide over the tops. You now look with the gaze of a professional appraiser, an expert who sees the hidden hallmarks of the master, understands the true value of the masterpiece, and, most importantly, knows how to handle it so as not to spoil, but to reveal its potential. Let's fix the main thing so that this information settles in your head as a foundation. Venus dimples are an elite biological asset. This is perhaps the rarest and most powerful combo you can meet in nature. It is a sign of excellent hormonal health. It is a marker of an indomitable, fiery temperament. It is an ideal ergonomic interface for your hands and a hidden button to trigger the mechanism of eternal attachment. This is a royal flush in the world of relationships. If your companion possesses this gift of nature, you must clearly understand you got a winning lottery ticket. And your direct male task is not to let this ticket go to waste. Use this knowledge. Do not be a passive consumer. Apply those grip techniques we talked about. Use your thumbs as levers to control her pleasure. Act on nerve nodes in moments of her maximum vulnerability. Turn ordinary, routine sex into a deep ritual of reality management, where you are the main operator, and her body is an obedient instrument playing music that you write. But what to do if you looked at your woman's back and saw only smooth skin? Does this mean that everything is lost, that you got the wrong option and need to look for another? By no means. And this is where the gigantic gap between the layman and the sculptor man manifests itself. Remember we said that Venus dimples are a structure that often hides under a lifebuoy due to stress, poor circulation, and cortisol? Your task is to stop being a critic and become the man next to whom this stress disappears, revealing true beauty. Perceive this as your personal project, as a challenge to your mastery. Most often, the sign of the goddess can be dug up, like an archaeologist digs up an ancient city. It slumbers there, under a layer of fatigue, city bustle, and office hypodynamia. And the key to this treasure is in your hands. Literally. Start small. Engage in movement together, but not in the format of hard labor in the gym, but in the format of pleasure. Long walks, swimming, dancing, everything that makes the pelvis and back work. Start giving her a lower back massage every evening before going to sleep. Not for sex, but for health. Disperse the lymph, improve blood flow in that very sacrum zone. Your warm, strong hands are capable of working miracles that no cosmetologist will do. Reduce her anxiety level with your confidence and calmness. A woman blossoms only in an atmosphere of safety. And you will be surprised when in 6 months, looking at her back in the shower, you suddenly notice the emerging shadows of those very dimples that were not there before. You will see how the relief changes, how the tone returns. This will be your personal, great victory. You will return her factory settings of youth and passion with your own hands. You will mold from her the woman you want to see. And believe me, a woman to whom a man returned beauty, health, and a sense of her own desirability will be devoted to him until her last breath. She will know who created this miracle, and she will repay you with such passion that you never even dreamed of. We live in a world where everything has become superficial, plastic, and disposable. People scroll through pictures on social networks without delving into the essence, and change partners like gloves at the first difficulties. But you now know that the truth always lies deeper. It is encrypted in the curves of bones, in the tension of ligaments, in the reaction of nerve endings to your touch. The female body is an infinite, dark universe full of riddles and secret doors. Today we picked up the key to only one of them. We disassembled the secret of the lower back. But how many more such marks, buttons, and hidden mechanisms are hidden on her body? If you are ready to continue this path, if you want to stop being a spectator in the stalls and become the main director of your personal life, if you need a scientific, hard approach to instincts without snot and romantic husk, you know what to do. Stay on this frequency. We will continue to crack the codes of nature, layer by layer, until you become an absolute expert in issues that worry every man on the planet, but which only a few truly understand. Study, try, rule, and never stop at the surface. See you in the next breakdown.